Hello friends, welcome to How to VLAN channel. This is DBA VLAN stream. Today in this video, we are going to visit Oracle's impdp, which is import pump feature remap table. You may wonder why we talk about remap table. There are a lot of other features available in impdp. Why specifically this? Because during one of my exercises, I ended up making a mistake with remap table. So I thought I'd do this as in my lab. Um, to understand how exactly this works, and so it's a learning for me and as well as it may be useful for you as well. I ended up discovering something new which I wanted to share. Thank you. Let's get started. As usual, our lab setup. So this is what our lab setup is. We'll go through the plan book or the steps that we are going to execute. We are going to explore the table remap option. It's actually remap underscore table. Right. Option in impdp. So how do we do it? What are the setups we need? We need a user, which is source user, and then we need a target user. So we created all the users with the necessary privileges. You can see create, connect, create session and resource. And also I created two table spaces, one for each schema or user that we created. And we granted the source schema with unlimited privilege and source table space. Similarly, target. Also, we need to make the default table spaces. Say, for instance, author user. So this is the default one as well. So this is for the easy management of our DDLs that we later perform. Alright, this needs to be done. And then we perform a connection check to ensure whether our connections are working okay as we created the user. And we need to set up a table. This table is the table we will be using for our exercise. And we need to create a directory as system user. And the directory will be used for our export import operation. First, we will export this particular table, the table of our interest for all our test routine. So this is how we export the table. Once the table export is done, we will verify if the table export successfully finished. Once it's done, the routine one is a very simple one. We will be just importing the same table back to the same schema but with a different name. So this is command or syntax for it. And we will expect the table 1 to be loaded as table 2 in the same schema. Routine 2, we will be importing this same table, the table 1, into another schema. Okay, the schema we created in the beginning, right? Target schema, and to a different name. So let's see how this works. So we are changing the schema name, table space name, and table name. So this is a, you may wonder, so we spoke about only remap table, but we are ultimately doing 3 remaps here. So this, if you go through this single video, you will understand all these 3 options. In routine 3, we are going to add more complexity. If you want to understand better about this, what is this complexity is all about, you have to read the Oracle's website about remap table. So here you go. This is 19C guide. So I'll put the URL for the reference here. Remap table. So what does it say? You can remap a table using this syntax or this syntax. They have two different meaning. At the end, you can remap a normal table to another normal table or a partition table, and that to a partition to a non-partition table. So a partition can also be remapped to a non-partition table because every partition is a segment by itself. So you can do that as well. Next, we'll see, yes, these are the various options we have. You can go through this guide for more detailed understanding. The only constraint we are going to see is we will discuss it when the routine 3 comes up. Okay, so this is a blog, sorry, not the blog, this is the Oracle guide you will need to refer to. But when the scenario 3 comes, I will explain you about what is actually the scenario 3 is and how do we handle a particular situation. Alright, so let's get started. So routine 2 is this. Routine 3 is where I said that complexity will be added. The complexity is nothing but we are going to add a constraint, and we are going to rerun the routine number 1 and 2 again and see how they work. My suspect is routine number 1 will fail, and so we have to run through some fix-up routines. So all that I have documented here already. So let's get started. Okay. So you may see here I already completed until here. I would say the setup of the user and connection check is already verified. So, but still I will show you from here. This is our screen where we will execute all the commands. This is our other screen where we will verify the table availability. All right. So let's get started. I'm logging this, and this is a pluggable database container. So by watching this video, you get an experience of how impdp is going to work on the container as well. Pluggable database, multi-tenancy as well. There's not much difference, but just that you get an experience of that as well. All right, so I have already set the SID and all the needed information. Let's get going. Remap source. All right, then it's connecting fine. Let's disconnect. And now, so this is also connecting fine. So the connectivity is all okay. Just copy paste the results. Now let's see the table setup. Table and directory setup. Okay. So alright, fine anyway. I already created the table. Alright, so it will throw a warning for me if I try creating again. But I'll just still show you. See, it's already existing, so table really already exists. This is the table. I already inserted 2 records, so I'll show you those. These are the 2 records, so they're already there. And the directory is also created, you may see here, as system user. Now I need to run the export pump. So let me exit from here. Let me run the export. So when you run the export command, who are you running the pump command as? Always choose not to run the command as sysuser. Try to run it as system or any other user with the export pump permissions, the needed one. If you are going to export the whole database, you will need export pump full, export full database. And then data pump, there is one more full data pump permission as well. So one of this includes the permission for the other. I already written, that is my first blog. I think the first or second blog, I think you can look at my blog site to know about it. So export system user, export as system user, and where am I going to export this to this directory, and what is my target dump file? This is the one. And where am I going to write my verbose or log output? This is my log output. And what is the object I'm going to export? This is the candidate object. So this is how we start the export. And the export is running. It will take a minute to finish. Give it a minute. Meantime, let's go have this command ready. Next command is running. Let's give it a minute and it should finish anytime. Yep, it exported the table and it finished successfully. See, successfully completed. And you can see the table name, sorry, the table dump and the log file. Table dump and the log file. They are created here. So we always check our pipe. So these are the error messages you can expect. There is no error is what you should have. Okay, there is no error. So the export finished successfully. Alright, we finished the export routine. Now we need to continue with the import. So let's go to our session again. Then let's fire the importer back to the same schema as new table. So what does this do? Import using system user from a dump file located in this directory, and the dump file name is this and the log file name is this, and the table that we are going to process is this, and we are going to remap the table from table 1 to table 2. And this is the procedure. Okay, let's fire it now. Before we fire, let's verify if the target schema has target has this table or not. So as we do normally, connect. We have to connect to the schema. Yeah, source. So select table underscore name from user underscore tables. See, only one table is found. So let's go ahead and fire the import and see how the routine one works. It's going to take a minute. I'll pass it here for until then. Oh, it finished so fast. Okay, it imported the table. You can see it imported it into the same schema source as table 2. There is no other change. Again, I repeat, it's table that we selected, which table we wanted to import. Say, consider you have taken a whole schema export also, but our object that we wanted to process is only a table from the schema. Even if you take an export of the schema, but we did not take an export of the schema, we only took a backup of a table. So we wanted to process only this table, and what do we want to do? We wanted to remap this table from table 1 to table 2. That is it, and that is what is happening. So successfully completed this table import. Now this procedure is successful. Let's mark it output. Alright, and similarly export also we need. Alright. Next we will go for the routine 2, which is impdp into a new schema. But before we do that, let's verify if the table is created or not. So you see the table 2 is created, table 1 minus table 2. There is no difference, so both are matching. I can just show you. If you subtract from here, this is also no row selected, so the tables are imported. Alright, so routine 1 is a success. Now before we go into the routine 2, we need to verify if routine 2 the table has the object or not. The schema has the object or not. Let's go to our connection test again. Here you go. Alright, so now let's run there is no table found. So what are we going to do? We are going to run through the routine 2. Routine 2 is import the table 1 into remap table target. This is a new user from source to target with the different table space, because this remap table target user doesn't have permission on the source table space, so you need to change the table space. Also we are changing the name of the table. You can see here remap table 1 to table underscore target. Okay, I import using system user and import from the dump file located in remap table directory using a dump file, this dump file, return the log file back to this log file. And which table, what is our operation? We wanted to import a table, and what is the table? This is the table. And where do you want to import this to? Import this to a new schema, new table space, into a new table also. This is what we are going to do. Let's give it a try now. As usual, let's fire the import. Also, you need to verify the log file. Last time I didn't verify, but this time I'll show you. Import finished successfully. This is the same thing will be returned to the log. And nothing will be new. Okay, so it's the same thing. So, but we will still do dash db dash no errors. Okay, so this also finished fine. Let's put it here. All right, this is done. Now let's go back and check the tables if they're imported fine. Yes, the record count. All right, looks fine. Before and after. Before impdp, after impdp. Now the routine 3, which is an added complexity. So I mentioned that I will go through this document, right, about the added complexity. These are the restrictions. If table being remapped has named constraints in the same schema, and the constraint must be created when the object is created, then remap parameter will not work. We are going to see this now. Okay. All right. So let's get started with routine 3. And so as we already saw, what is routine 3? If the table remap has named constraints in the same schema and the constraint must be created when the table is created, remap table parameter does not work. And we are going to add a constraint now. We know that this is how we connect to the source. This is the complexity we are going to add. Let's disconnect from this and connect here. Yes, connected to remote. And we added a constraint now. This is a named constraint, IDPK. Now let's rerun this routine now. So before this, we didn't ever had a table underscore name from user underscore tables. So the constraint and user underscore constraints. All right, so it should return in a minute. Okay, IDPK is found now. Let's now rerun the same procedure when we have a table, isn't it? The same name. Let's drop the table before we start the import. So we don't have table 2 now. We can very well fire the import. This is the same routine. Let's see what happens. Just change this number to 03. Same command as routine 1. We will see what does this do. Is able to manage? Yeah. He imported well then. Very well. How did it manage? So what is the name of the constraint? Oh yes. The issue is I didn't take a fresh export dump. So that's the reason. So I'll drop this table. You'll see this because this is the old dump. We need to take a new export dump, isn't it? So I'll take a new export dump. Here you go. For the routine 3 alone, we need a new dump. And that's 02. This is 02. We need to use this dump only. Give it a minute. It should finish. Then we'll replace this with this. We just need to change the dump. Wait for one more minute for this to finish. So the new dump will hold the new export with the constraint information. You can see this constraint is getting exported now. I take an output of this. Yeah, it finished successfully. Now let's rerun the import routine 1. Before we run, we need to check if the table 2 is not found. Okay, we are using table 2 0 to dump. Okay, let's see constraint. See, it says already exists, meaning that it skipped the constraint. It's not a successful import. Table 2 is imported, but it said there's a constraint by the name IDPK already exists, so you should not use this method. So you need to manually add the constraint with a different name. All right, that's fine either. So I'm seeing this myself for the first time even, and it reports clearly the errors output. All right. So how do we manage this error? We will see this later. Okay. Now let's drop this table because this is not a proper one, because the primary key is already missing the, not just the primary key, but the index associated also will be missing, isn't it? We have only one index, I'm guessing for now. You see only one index, that's on table 1. Table 2 has primary key missing and its index also is missing. Now let's connect to the target schema and we will try the rerun of the routine 2 as part of routine 3 action. So don't get confused. We are in routine 3 with the complexity. We are rerunning the method when importing back to the same schema and importing back to a different schema now in routine 3. Okay. So let's connect. Just check the table list. We need to drop the table we imported in the second round, which is routine 2. See, this is there, and this will not fail ideally because there will not be any constraint found, isn't it? So this is not expected to fail. Let's do this now. Rerun of routine 2. Rerun of routine 2, inventory BDB, remap source table 1. So remap schema, everything's same. Just the dump name we need to change, isn't it? It is 02 now. This is 02 now, right? 02, and this is, yeah, 03 is done. 04 now we need to see. Rerun of routine 2 and remap table 02 dumper. I think this will fly away, not have any error. See, successfully completed versus completed with one error, and this finished successfully, and this is fine. This is what we expected. So this is the as per arcodoc limitation of the option. How do we fix routine 1? So we have to pre-create the table. Now I'll connect back to the source schema. Yeah, remote source. So let's connect back to the source schema. Let's go to the bottom. So what I say is pre-create the table and add the constraint with a different name, and then import the table with the table exist action truncate. That's all. So let's get the DDL of the table out. Table 1. Right, this is the table name, table definition, but we are not gonna, we know it's very simple, right? Table 1 ID, we know how this will look. So we will just run this command. This is same exact way we created the table 1. All right, select table name, Since it's not dropped it, so it's throwing an error. Alright, table dropped. Now let's create the table. Disconnect. Table created, and if you notice here, we are adding to this table a new constraint with the name id underscore pk2 on using the primary key setup on the column id. So this is done. Now, as usual, we need to change the name of the dump file. We need to rely on, and you can see here I am to change it. I'm going to perform an import using system user to read the direct dump file from this directory. This is the dump file and this is the log file. The operation is targeted on table1 from source schema, and we are going to remap the table in the source schema itself to table 2, and if the table exists, perform a truncate. So that's what we are going to do. So let's import it now. Now this time you shouldn't face any errors. Alright, table 2 already exists. This is a known issue. Reason? Table 2 is pre-created, so this is ignorable, but you don't get any other error. So this is absolutely fine. I see this table exists action truncate got dropped. Alright. So this is the default action skip. Okay. I guess there was an issue with yes, this slash was missing. Let's drop and recreate this table because the rest doesn't. Right, let me create it again. Okay, now we read it everything, and again I'll go back. So you need to be very careful. See, I just missed one slash, and that command itself gone wrong, but it still exists. Table exists. Exist action. Okay. Table exists. There was an S. There is an S here. Alright, sorry guys. Just be with me. So now the import is running. You can see here now this is not throwing any warning or error. Successfully completed. Alright, so we're all set. That's it. Alright, now let's go back, check the records. No row selected. Okay, so this is looking good. The results are fine. Alright, in additional notes, common mistakes to avoid. In case if you're taking an export of the whole schema and you end up making this filter criteria wherein you need to mention the name of the table, and also you're not performing any remap schema, this could end up in a disaster. You see, in my impdp system, I'm importing a dump file, this dump file from this directory. What am I importing? I'm performing a remap of the schema. That's all. You're not saying anything. What are you importing? Whatever is there in this dump file. This dump file may hold a schema, this dump file may hold a database, this dump file may hold anything. This being system user has export full database permission, and import full database permission, it will try to do whatever operation contained within this dump. It can be a export of the whole schema. Now since you did not select the table list, but your objective is to import only a selected table, you may ultimately end up doing an import of the whole schema. This is exactly the mistake I did. So skipping the table selection clause, if at all you did an export of the whole schema, this can be a disaster. What will happen? You will import back to the same schema. You'll import back to the same schema instead of a table, the whole schema. So it may result in a lot of errors. So please take care of it. Okay. Conclusion. So the impdp worked as per the Oracle document. That's all. Thank you guys. Thanks for staying with me this long. And if you have any feedbacks, please feel free to share in the comment section. And if you like this video really, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to How to Learn channel for new videos. Thank you. Thank you for staying with me this long, and we'll meet you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.